Hey, how's it going? This is Ari, founder and CEO of Arka, and today I'm going to talk to you about how Arka is different from traditional data tools and how users can use it to get from data to insights really fast. We'll talk about three things that make it different: the UI, our proprietary data engine, and then deep customizability that we offer for our customers and enterprises specifically. So let's talk about the UI. I want to contrast Arka with how Databricks works, or any of your typical data tools work. This is how it looks, a typical Databricks interface. This is for a power user. This is for users that are experts and they can configure Databricks the way they like. And this is not just true for Databricks, but this is usually the kind of interface you would see when you take a typical data tool. Snowflake, Hex, other tools are similar, and if you look at even the AI powered kind of capabilities, they're pretty minimal and they're kind of sort of on the side. And if you ask questions like, well, what are my sales for the quarter? I mean, this is very hard for the current sort of genies and bots to find that answer. They need a lot of clarification and context before they can be useful. So let's contrast that with Arka. So this is arka.so. This is a little bit about what our website does, but let's get into the app. So if you're a customer, we give you access to our platform and we help you set it up. Before you even ask a single question, we typically will work with you to do a couple of things. First, connect your data sources together. So in this case, we've connected. These are all the different data sources that work, and we have connected Redshift to this setup. And after that, we will also help you configure a few knowledge bases. So here there's just a few simple samples, but a knowledge base can be general knowledge that could be specific business context about your company. System rules are rules that you want to give to Arka that it needs to remember in terms of what the output looks like, or kind of things to avoid in the response. And then canonical queries are essentially sample queries that you can give to Arka to make it kind of have context about what the typical queries are from your platform, which just helps it get better answers for you. So Arka is primarily a data exploration and an insights tool. So it looks like a chatbot. It's very familiar. It has a very familiar interface, and we've configured it with a data source in Redshift, and we can configure it to BigQuery, Snowflake, any data source you can imagine. And so I'm going to ask a question to Arka, and this is all happening live, so you can see kind of how Arka behaves. First, it starts to reason about the question, and it basically it gives you a plan of how it's going to go and answer the question. And then it starts to run tools, and some of the tools that it's running are the Discover schema, and if you're using BigQuery, then it'll be calling BigQuery APIs instead of the Redshift API calls. But what it's really doing here is making requests to the schema and understanding the schema before responding to the question that you've asked. And this is where we move over to sort of the second part of the story, which is our data engine. The data engine is essentially a workflow that explores the data and uses our knowledge bases that we've pre-configured to come up with a plan of how to go about finding the answer, and then executes it. So think of it as like Claude code, but for data, right? So you do a plan step to plan everything out and then execute. And this ensures that the execution is of a high quality and very, very, differentiated with your basic genies and chatbots. So here, it answers the question, and then it kind of gives you a few additional statistics, and then has a section about key insights. But what I really like is it focuses on making the data very visual. And focuses on charts and graphs, and you can add these charts to a dashboard. You can download them as images, and then you can quickly copy this entire thing and paste it in something like Notion or Google Docs, and just go on your way and share that with others. So a couple of use cases for this are you're on a customer success team. You want to understand the patterns of a particular customer. You can put in their name, you can get all these great graphs, and then you can export them to conversations with the customer, giving them insights about how they've been using your platform, for example. One thing that we focus on a lot is trying to be really obsess over quality and accuracy. We have our own evals that we run on our side, but we have things like confidence, where the LLM is judged by another LLM, and essentially we rank the response based on how accurate it is, based on the knowledge, whether or not knowledge bases have been used, and what has been the output of the data. Like, is the response, how close is the response to the question that was asked, right? And this also helps in letting the user discern whether or not the response that it's looking at is worth trusting, or are there more questions that need clarification, right? So the final thing I'll show you is adding things to dashboards. So in this case, you can create a new dashboard called sales, for example, sales 2025, and you can export that dashboard here. This is a very different view, and this is useful, like dashboards are, to share the data that is frequently used with different stakeholders in the company. But what's different about this experience is you can actually ask questions. So you can say things like, what is this graph telling me, and could you, for example, give me the last or the top 20 cities in this case, right? And this is something that is takes potentially hours to do in a typical dashboarding workflow, because you've got to fidget with the knobs and dials. In this case, it's answering the question. So someone who's seeing the dashboard for the first time can ask and get answers about the context being displayed, and get more data that might be useful for their analysis, on top of the data that they're seeing already. So this is how Arka looks, and I'll end with the last point, which is our deep customizability. So unlike typical data tools that are mostly static, you don't get to really modify what this prompt does. You can provide any prompt you like to Arka. It will change. You can customize the response style, the fields, the sections, the kind of graphs, even the color of the graphs, right? Everything. And then even in the dashboards, you could kind of customize export options like Google and others. So it really is focusing on making sure that you can make it, design it completely to fit the existing data workflow you have in your company, rather than having to retrofit your workflows to some kind of new tool, right? Okay, so that was an overview of Arka. If you have any questions, you can send them to hi@arka.so, and feel free to drop us a note, and we'd be happy to help you try Arka out. Have a great day. Bye.